Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. This is the trick training series, and in this episode we're going to be looking at back up. So the trick of back up or backing up or reverse or whatever you want to call it is where the dog reverses in a straight line. Backwards obviously. Right, ready? Can you stand up? Let's move you back. Okay, back. Good girl. That was a bit you sat down. So we're going to be moving on from what we just were doing in a previous episode of getting the dog to put their feet on to a cushion, their back feet. It's the starting point to give us an opportunity to teach our dog how to back up. Now, there are two ways you can teach back up. Well, there's more than two ways, obviously, but these are the two commonest ways. One of those ways is where you walk into your dog and the dog automatically backs up because you're walking into them. And then you add a cue to that, say back, back, or whatever you want to do, reverse. I taught Merlin that way. The only problem I had is that I found I couldn't move it on. I found he got stuck linked to the fact that I was walking into him. So if he was here and, can you come ahead of me, my man? I couldn't get him to reverse on his own. I had to keep walking into him. So I used to say, scoot, Mels, just scoot. And I felt like I had to use my body motion to get him to do that behaviour. The other problem is that some dogs just won't back up if you do that to them. They just won't. They'll stand there and look at you. So I wanted to do this in a different way with the girls and try something different because that didn't work terribly well. Can you come over here and lay down, please? Good boy. Okay. So what I'm doing now is using a target cushion, and this is a method I picked up through Susan Garrett's training. So it's certainly not my own. It's not necessarily my own idea, but it is an idea that I've developed from that training. So the idea is to use a target for your dog to back up onto. So remember, we've done 2 on, 2 off. They've been thinking about their back feet. So we're going to start. Actually, I'm going to have it closer than that. We're going to start close. And as we're close, just going to lean forward a little bit. Oh, look, there you are. And a paw went up. It was a little bit accidental. She could have been even closer than that and we could have done it. As I said, it was a little bit accidental, but it worked. So we start with the dog really close to the cushion, so really it only takes an accidental back step for them to put their foot on it. Then we're going to be a bit further back and we're going to see if they'll start to think about, think about what they're doing. Okay, so see if she'll do it. Obviously she's done this quite a bit. Yes, nearly. Oh, nearly. Yeah, go and shuffle back. You go shuffle back. Oops, stand up. Stand up, because I want her standing up when she does it. Good. Shuffle. Yes, good girl. So I probably moved that on a little bit quicker than she was ready for. Nose, okay, back, yes. So you can see, swift, back. You can see now she's got it, she knows what I'm doing. Now this is my cue, and the reason my cue is this, back, is because when I was first doing that, I would have the treat in my hand and throw it at her. Good girl, break here, come ready, back. So I could throw it easily, so then that became my cue. What she is doing is she's basically following the same behaviour of moving backwards and putting her feet on the target. So this is building up the 2 on, 2 off, the idea that my back feet can go on a target. As we move this along, we'd obviously build up the distance. I haven't got the room to do this in this space, but you could do it down a hallway and build up that greater distance so that she's going further and further back. When they get to a certain distance, I find that they can start to lose sight of the target in their peripheral vision and they start to veer off. So when they go a long way, I tend to make the target something that's long, so it's wide. So it could be a dog bed, or I've got a contact plank, so it's about that wide. And by putting that down, they can see it better out of their peripheral vision so that they don't lose it so much as they're going back. Once we've got them backing up to a target, we would like them to do it without the target. So what we then do is we remove the target, and we've been adding in our word, back. So as she's been going backwards, I've been saying back. And obviously I've got the cue with my mouth. Oops. Good girl. Okay, so let's see if she'll do it. She has to be standing up. I find she can't do it from a sit. Back. Good girl. Okay, come here. Ready? Back. Yes. So now it's on the floor, my maid. So now she's doing it on a cue. Back. Nice. Get it. Back. Good girl. And she can do it just as she sit. Good girl. Just as she on the cue without the target. That can take a while to build up. It might not. It could take a few sessions to get there. I also find that they get to a stage where they like to go a certain distance from you, and then they don't want to go any further. This is possibly due to where you reward. I think we have a tendency to always reward in the same place without realising it, or we always use the same size room. So our dogs they're clever. They get into the habit of going, well, I always do X amount of steps. I'm not saying they count, but they always go, they do an X amount of steps and then I get the reward. So they learn that distance. So if you watch Swift, if I say back, notice how she stops? Swift, back. So ideally I want to reward her while she's still moving, because I don't want the behaviour to be back up and stop. I want the behaviour to be keep backing up until I say stop. But that is obviously, she's learned, and obviously there is a chair there, but even in a bigger space, she has learned that there's a set distance that we do the back up in. Good girl. And then I stop. So that's something to sort of bear in mind. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't get your dog to be going quite a long distance in a back up. Obviously, you've got to be able to throw a toy or a ward in there, and they've got to be able to either hear you or see your signal. But you could certainly get your dog to back up quite a distance if you want to. Good girl. So now we've got back up and we've worked on that and they can do it on a cue. We're going to try and see if we can do something a little bit different with her in our next trick. I hope you've enjoyed this Everyday Canines video, and if you have, you might like to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. I hope to see you all again very, very soon.